You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you. Everyone, please sit down. There's no one in the audience. It's just an audio, Chris. Who are you fooling? No one, but it sounds good. Anyway, guys, be sure to, as always, share the show with your friends and relatives. You know, sharing is caring. I mean, if you have a family, do you really care about them if you haven't shared the Chris Voss Show? You got to love the guilting, and this is what we call the guilting and shaming part of the show, or some people call it ads. So we're over there on TikTok now. We're trying to get cool on TikTok. It's not working so far, and probably never will. But we're getting a smidgen of cool. Is that like something you can buy? That's what I do when I say to the grocer or the butcher, I just give me a smidgen of beef. I don't even know what a smidgen is. I don't think anyone knows what it is, but maybe that's the whole point of it. Anyway, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. YouTube.com/Chris Voss. Goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Where else? The LinkedIn, the big 130,000 LinkedIn group, the newsletter on LinkedIn, and of course, follow us on TikTok and try and help us be cool. Someone slightly entertaining. Thank you, Gokman, for giving us the smile there. Today, we have an amazing guest on the show, and she's the author of an amazing book. Hello, my name is Awesome. How to Create Brand Names That Stick. Wait, I thought that was my opening line at Pickup at Bars. Alexandra Watkins is on the show with us today. She's going to be talking to us about her book, how she brands, and some of the amazing things that she does. She is the chief executive boss lady of Eat My Words. I think isn't that my biography? Alexandra Watkins is a leading and outspoken authority on brand names. Her breakthrough creativity book, Hello, My Name is Awesome. How to Create Brand Names That Stick, is considered the brand Bible and was named a top 10 marketing book by Inc. magazine. Since 2005, she and her firm have created love at first sight brand names for clients from Amazon to Xerox. Her own name Hall of Fame includes Wendy's Baconator. Oh, I remember that. Now I'm hungry. The Nito robotic vacuum. We review a ton of those in the Chris Voss Show. Great brand. And actually, they're running around the house. Smitten ice cream, which I have not eaten. I'll have to try that. And Spanish language school Gringo Lingo. Frozen yogurt business franchise Spoon Me. There's jokes there, and I'm going to leave them on the table. And the Church of Cupcakes, which is where I should be going every Sunday. Welcome to the show, Alexandra. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm glad you've heard of the Baconator.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing most of the Baconator probably at this point. But it was good when I used to eat that kind of food. But I definitely remember it. See, that's the beauty of it. I probably haven't eaten a Baconator in a couple years. But
hey, Chris, it has spawned. Son of Baconator is now a thing.
Oh my God! Wow. Does it have less calories or more?
I think it has more. It's a baby.
Oh, God.
And there's also, you can get Baconator fries. Like, Baconator has taken on a life of its own. I think it has its own Wikipedia page.
Does it really?
I think it does.
I think the Chris Voss Show has its life of its own, but that's another thing. Anyway, welcome to the show. It's wonderful to have you on. Give us a .com where people can find you on the interwebs, please.
Eatmywords.com.
It always sounds like you're offending someone. Like I go, what is your .com? She's like, Eat My Words.
Oh. Well, let me tell you why we're named Eat My Words. I named us Eat My Words because we started out naming things that make people fat and drunk.
Well, I guess that's branding.
Yeah, and you can see the pink refrigerator behind me. We have a 1950s retro pink fridge, and that's where we keep our cool books. And yeah, food is fun. So
There you go. Yeah, you were showing me in the pre-show, in the green room as we call it, that you have that whole thing filled with books. Now, I imagine
Yep.
it's not turned on, but it probably does
No.
keep the books fresh.
No, it's not. It's been probably unplugged for a couple decades now.
There you
But
go.
yeah, I've had it through many lives and iterations, and it's had my Fiesta wear in it. It's
Ah,
traveled with me throughout the years, and I don't know if you can see this, but right here,
uh-huh.
I have a sofa made out of stuffed animals.
Oh, yeah?
And that's called the Marlin Perkins 2000. You probably
Wow.
remember Marlin Perkins. Yeah, I have a lot of fun toys. I'm all about toys.
There you go. So what made you choose the pink fridge? What was it about it that struck your
Well
fancy?
well, because my business is Eat My Words, it just seemed like we needed to have a pink, like the 1950s retro pink. I love pink, and I wanted it in my office, so I coveted it from a neighbor who it belonged to him, and finally wore him down, and I got it. But yeah, it has a rich history. Used to belong to the San Francisco War Memorial Opera
Oh,
House,
wow.
and ballerinas put their carrot sticks and celery sticks in there for ages, I'm sure. And now it's just home to my books.
There you go. And it looks like it's a great magnet sticker thing too as
Yeah, it's
well.
good
So,
for yeah, yeah. The refrigerator in the house isn't magnetic, so this is
mhm.
the last magnetic fridge. I'm sure of it.
There you go. Now you're supposed to put the license plates on the cars, not the refrigerator. I just want to make sure you do that. Anyway,
Yeah, I always switch out my license plate, but yeah, name's it, dream job,
so there you
neighbor.
go. So your book, "Hello, my name is Awesome," which is my pickup line at bars and clubs. I think it's my title on Tinder, which is probably why no one sends me any messages. It came out in 2014. What got you into the business of branding and doing these other things? What's your origin story?
My background is I was an advertising copywriter for a really long time. And by the way, my book did come out in 2014, but it's had a second edition since that
Ah,
time. So yeah, it's a little more fresh than that. Yeah, and it's a very
2019 on the
popular book.
paperback.
No, it started in paperback, although the
Okay.
publisher did experiment with hardcover for libraries because it's a popular library book too.
Mhm.
But no, my background is in advertising. I was a copywriter,
Mhm.
writing ads, and every once in a while, I would get thrown a bone and get to name something. And I love naming. I was good at it, but I had no idea it was a profession. So when I discovered that, I switched gears and told everyone I'm just going to name things. And people said, you can't do that. And here I am living in my Barbie dream house. So guess what? I did that.
You won. I like to name things too, usually when I'm walking in public or I'm on Facebook, but usually it's four-letter words that to describe my hate for someone doing something stupid. So that's probably not going to get paid for that, I don't think.
Well,
Um,
your last name is a four-letter word.
It is, and it's amazing how many people will use other four-letter words instead of that one, especially people that know me privately. But that's another story. It got named a top 10 branding book by Branding Journal. And it's in like you mentioned, the paperback edition here shows the completely revised and updated version, and the audiobook and Kindle, I think, as well on
Mhm.
Amazon. So you can order it there, folks. What give us some tease out of what's people are going to find inside the book.
Well, most people don't know how to create a brand name. They've never learned how to do that in school, or they kind of copy trends from other people. And I always say your name shouldn't look like someone got drunk and played Scrabble. But that I told you I was gonna make you laugh, Chris.
I
Um,
love it.
a lot of people don't know any better, so they're just kind of following what everybody else is doing. But
Mm.
what you'll learn in the book is how to create a memorable name that makes you stand out, that attracts attention, attracts customers, attracts, and then of course all that turns into money, which is good.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're gonna learn how to create a name that makes people smile instead of scratch their head.
What if I create a name that the title of my company is "Go F Yourself," and then everybody goes, "Who do you work for? Go F yourself." And they're like, "Wow, that's kind of rude." And I'm like, "No, like seriously, that's the name of the company." And I don't know. It's like
Well,
who's
I
on
think
first.
depending who your audience is, I wouldn't say rude works really well, but Naughty can work okay. And one of our most notorious names is a nail salon in San Francisco in the Castro, which is the San Francisco's most historic gay neighborhood, and it is named Hand Job.
It's a nail salon. I love it. Wow. I think there was a store I saw one time that was called Glory Hole. I think it was in England.
Oh
Or
my
something.
gosh.
It was a
Okay,
coffee shop.
that's too. Yeah, that's too much for me. And same with a blowout bar named Blowjob. That's like,
Is there one of those really?
Probably.
Wow.
Yeah. No, we named. Yeah, my favorite name ever for a blow dry bar. There's a lot of things we've named multiples of, and it was a blow dry bar, and the client wanted a name that was whimsical yet sophisticated. Okay, impossible to do, but I did it. And the name I came up with was Chateau Blow.
Chateau Blow. So it's like a sophisticated blowjob or something.
Yeah.
Or from someone who's French. I don't know what all this means, of course, but we'll leave it to people's imagination. So, why being unique and having that stick out thing, like, sometimes I see businesses, they do things that stick out. Like there's a donut place. What is it? Voodoo Donuts
Voodoo
or something
Donuts.
in
Yeah.
Oregon.
Yeah, Voodoo Donuts.
And not only they make crazy freaking donuts, you remember the name. Like I can't remember most of the donut place's name, but I still remember. I've never even been there, and I remember.
I haven't either, but I'll tell you, Voodoo Donut. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's a great example of a name and there's always a line around the block, and that is a name that the name is the soul of that business. Like people love that name. That's what started getting people to come to them, and of course they have all their crazy. I'm sure they started the first bacon donut or something. I know they have some crazy flavor combinations, but yeah, a name can make or break your business. Like one that the Church of Cupcakes you mentioned, like that's a name where not only does that name attract people, they've used a lot of wordplay around the church. So for instance, their tagline is "Worshipers Welcome." And now I want you to think about this one. Their vanilla cupcake is named the Missionary.
The Missionary.
The Missionary, like boring, vanilla.
Boring, plain.
It's a sexual. It has a sexual connotation.
Oh, okay. I didn't put those two together, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah, she calls herself the church lady. So you can have a lot of fun with the name, and I think people miss that opportunity so much. They spend more time making a decision about what they're going to have for dinner than what they're going to call their company.
Yeah. And a name does make a difference. One of my companies I started back in the day, we were starting a mortgage company. Back then, everybody had locked down all the names for mortgage companies and banking. And so we were just having the worst time trying to find a name that hadn't been taken. This is before the internet.
Wow.
And so finally, I came up with the one. I mean, it was just crazy how many names were taken. And so finally, I came up with the name Ace Mortgage. And I'm like a flying ace because I used to build little planes, model planes when I was a kid and study World War II. I'm a flying Ace Mortgage. And a couple of my friends were like, Chris, you live in the state of Utah where Mormons don't gamble. And it's kind of a negative connotation. I'm like, nah, we'll put a flying ace symbol on it and it'll be fine. And screw it. We'll just do it. We did it. And for 30 days, all I did was hear crap about that name. And
no,
gambling? Are you gambling with my mortgage?
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Utah's a really weird place.
No, I know that. Here. No, I have many clients in Utah. Spoon Me Frozen Yogurt is in Utah, and they wanted a name that was kind of edgy, and they thought that it would attract a lot of attention for being edgy. Yeah. And but what happened is the older Mormons really liked the name because if with your clothes on, spooning can be quite innocent, but you have to be careful because spooning leads to forking, as we all know.
What? What is it? I'm a 50-year-old virgin.
Utah. That surprises me though about Ace. Like, I mean, Ace Hardware, Ace Bandages.
Yeah. And see, that's what I thought too. But this was 40 years ago, or 30 years ago, and there was a little bit more different. 30 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to get with Spoon Me. That would have been on the
no, you're right. You're right.
Plus, the other thing is Utah is a dry state, so they don't sell a lot of booze here, and booze isn't popular with the Mormons, but sugar is.
Oh my God, I know.
So sugar and prescription pills. So crack cocaine is sugar here, where crack cocaine is crack cocaine other places. So you could probably put anything on it. You could probably put a naked Joseph Smith on the front of a thing, and as long as there's sugar in that shot, like we have stores in Utah that you can go to. There's these little photomat like shops that will pour you any variation of soft drink that you want. Like
Yeah.
you want to mix Mountain Dew and
Yeah.
and then rot your gut out with all that crap. They
Yeah.
have that. Lines around the block.
Well, one of my favorite names is a Utah soda place, and it's Sodalicious.
That's one of the brands I'm talking
Yeah.
about. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
There's usually a huge line. And I mean, if you go to a bar and try and get a drink, good luck. But if you go to Sodalicious, you can get whatever you want. And so after 30 days of just hearing crap about the name and people giving me a bad time, I went and said, what's a good name? And I thought of Boardwalk, because we're in the mortgage business, and a Monopoly. And
Oh, I
so
love
I
that.
found no one hadn't gotten Park Place Mortgage.
Wow, nice.
And that was the perfect name to take and have for the company. And so we changed it to Park Place Mortgage, and then it gave that level of prestige and the element, because everyone's always after we couldn't get Boardwalk, but everyone was always after Park Place, and that ended up being a great name for about 13 years.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is really good. Yeah.
And so that's why names are important.
Yeah. Well, that's a good name because it's memorable, and it's memorable because it's based on something familiar. We all know Park Place from playing Monopoly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it worked out good for us in that way. What are some other things that we can tease out about you that are inside your book that you help people with?
Well, one thing I teach people is I give you an acronym in the book. It's my 12-point name evaluation test. It's called the Smile and Scratch Test, based on my philosophy. A name should make you smile instead of scratch your head. Smile, you're going to walk through the whole thing. It's an acronym for the 5 qualities that make a name great. It's suggestive, so it suggests something about your brand, like Park Place, great. It suggests like an elevated everything, right? If the M stands for memorable, again, back to Park Place. That's a fantastic name, by the way. The I, we're just going to use Park Place as an example here for
Sure,
smile.
yeah, run with it.
The I stands for imagery. Again, like we can picture that Park Place card in our head, right? We can picture.
It's nice.
And this helps so much because, mortgage company names are pretty forgettable for the most part. But anything you can do to give somebody something that helps them remember it later is you're golden. So that's where imagery really works, because people remember pictures and images much more easily than they remember words or random letters. And then the L stands for legs, and that's when your name lends itself to a theme, as Park Place does. Yeah, I'm sure, I don't know how much Milton Bradley let you get away with, or if you were flying under the radar then because it was before the internet.
Yeah.
But now you might not be able to get away with that.
Oh,
but like
wow.
Legs with Eat My Words, the name of my firm. So we have a menu of services. Our blog is called The Kitchen Sink. We have a lot of fun with our name. And then the E stands for emotional in Smile. You want your name to make an emotional connection. That's really important, that your name resonates with people, because you can't afford to be shy. You have to really stand out.
There you go. You actually have a thing on your website that I'm looking at here where people can go test a name according to your metrics and stuff.
Yep, they can run their name through the Smile and Scratch test, and it will walk you through it. It will tell you what you're doing right, what you could do better, and at the end, it gives you all the results. And I'll get an email if you want any further advice from me. Just tell me you heard me on Chris's show, and I'll give you my professional opinion as well.
There you go. I just put in the Chris Voss show, and it said, "What a dumb name! Who the hell is that guy?" So, well, he's probably right.
Well, Chris, you've already made a name for yourself, and this is the mistake
like
you already have, right?
But most of it was those serial killings in the 70s. So there you go. What was the other thing I was going to ask you about? What do you think about what's going on with AI? Because you do branding, you do copywriting, and other things. What do you see is going? This Chat GPT is really hot. And of course, now that we're plugging this, we can put it on the AI podcast with Chris Voss.
Yeah,
Plug.
I have this conversation daily with people. So
Mhm.
Chat GPT, it can be helpful. Like for me, it can be helpful. So yesterday I was trying to come up with alliterative word, positive words that started with L to
Mhm.
go with the word lesson. I was naming an AI. It seems like lately all I'm doing is naming AI products. And I'm telling you, if the founders of AI companies, like with a lot of money, are coming to me to name their products, and even those that don't have a lot of money are coming to me. That's just telling you that AI is not there yet for names. So,
Ah.
uh, I'm in fact, I have, if anybody wants to see like the difference of names that AI comes up with versus names that a professional namer such as myself comes up with,
Uh-huh.
I have some really good examples for a kids travel company. And just, I came up with like tripopotamus, like hippopotamus.
Ah.
And like AI isn't going to come up with that. AI isn't going to come up with, it's like a family travel game. I came up with fee fi fo fam and fee fi fo fun. AI isn't going to do that.
That's
So like,
true.
yeah. So AI is good for things that are, metaphors. Come up with. I was
Mhm.
naming a gym equipment company in Switzerland, and I come up with metaphors for things that are strong. So it's
Mhm.
good for things like that, but just asking it to come up with names, it's you got to like really know how to work it and how to prompt it.
Yeah, we tried that. We just recently launched the AI podcast with Chris Voss at AIChrisVoss.com. Uh, shameless plug, because we have no shame, and we couldn't. Part of it was just getting everything. It seems like they bought like every possible variation of every possible name on GoDaddy for AI stuff, and so we were just kind of going through it, going, "Oh my god, how hard is this going to be?" And it's interesting, but AI couldn't come up with anything that we could use that was available on GoDaddy. And sometimes that uniqueness is kind of what you need, because it almost seems like that's kind of the way it is when you're trying to name a business nowadays. Like all the simple, juicy stuff is taken, right?
All done. Yeah, all done. All those one word name. Don't even think about trying to get a one word name for anything. You have to be able to make up a word. So, for instance, a word that I made up, it's for a growler. Growlers are like beer, where you
Hmm.
put beer in a stein, a container, drive home with, drink it when you get home, draft beer. And I named it Chuggernaut. And Juggernaut, right? A twist on Juggernaut with chug. So if you can combine two things together where you still, when you hear it, you know what it is, you know how to spell it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that right now is kind of the way to go. I would say the trend is just invent a new word, but it has got to sound like a word.
Yeah.
It can't be cogentiva or uh schedulicity, like a real mouthful or something that doesn't sound natural. Like look at Groupon. Groupon's a beautiful coin word. It's group plus coupon, or
Yeah.
Pinterest, pin your interest.
Yeah. What do you think about when cars do, like, some of the car names are kind of stupid, and they do like a play where they just kind of change a letter, like instead of an S, they'll use a Z or something. What do you think about
I
stuff like that? Is that too
Well, I
kitschy
think
or?
that's late. I think changing a letter is lazy, or adding tacking a couple letters on the end, Learnia, for a learning company. It's kind of
Hernia.
like
Sounds like
rhymes
sounds
with
like an
hernia.
injury.
I know. But I think that when cars, so the best car names, I believe, were the muscle car names, right? Or
Uh,
names like Stingray, right?
yeah.
Or like names of animals, right? Those have all been done. Jaguar. One We were naming an electric car brand not too long ago, and one of the names I came up with that was rejected by the company, it passed trademarking, but
Mhm.
was rejected by the company, but it was Kilowatt, and I thought like that was just a really fun name.
Kilowatt. There is a
Kilowatt.
kill in there, but yeah, I like it.
That's okay.
Kilowatt. I mean, Tesla was a great name. I mean, but I'm sure that it's interesting. But these names are, like, just like we talked about the Baconator. I still remember what that is, even though I try and avoid it nowadays. or bacon in general at my old age. But these are the names that really resonate. And so you work with clients to help them find names. I noticed one of the clients you work with is a company we've worked with to do reviews on their vacuums. In fact, we have some here at the house. Nito.
Yes, I named Nito the company and
Wow.
the Nito robotic vacuum, and the
You know what's
founder.
funny is I've always
What?
looked at that name and I'm like, who really came up with that name? That's a great name.
Oh,
Nito.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I love that name. That was one of the first projects I ever got at Eat My Words. And yeah, the guy then he wanted a version, the Nito Bandito. I'm like, don't do that. But yeah, Nito, it's neat. Like Nito it's kind of one of those words you don't hear it very often.
Mhm.
But yeah, and it was neat. Like, and they needed so the Nito Robotics is a great name because Nito is kind of fun and playful, but robotics gives it gravitas and helps justify, paying, at the time when it first came out, it was $400. So that's a nice balance, not too
Mhm.
playful, not too serious, a little bit of both.
Mhm.
So those are the style of names that I love.
There you go. There you go. It looks like you even had a review from Near Ale. He's been on the show with
Oh
us
yeah,
before.
Near. Yeah, I've been on Near show. I know Near. Near blurred my book. What? Yeah, he
Did he
wrote.
blurb it during the show?
No,
Oh, okay.
your brand is in a relentless fight for attention. This must-read book shows how to prepare for battle and win with the strongest name possible.
Yeah. What do you think about when companies do stuff that seems to make their name less long and memeish? Like, Federal Express recently cut themselves down. It's been a while to FedEx because I think everyone's calling them that. The
Yeah.
United Postal Service my understanding is changed the name to what everyone calls them. Damn it! No, I'm just kidding. They're not doing that. That might be a good business game. I don't know.
I think for the most part, it's good. Like Federal Express became FedEx because that's what everybody was calling it. Same
Yeah.
with Beverages and More became Bevmo. That's what people were calling it.
Ah.
Here's two times it didn't work. VRBO, which is Vacation Rental by Owner, they just started calling it VRBO. Then people were calling it Verbo. And like, what does Verbo even mean?
I hate that name.
I
I
hate
hate
that
that
name too. I
VRB
totally
name.
hate that
Yeah.
name. I
I don't
hate
even
that
know what
name.
it is. I still don't know what it is. I know it
It's a
has something to do with
it's a home trading
Yeah.
website,
Yeah.
and like one that I used to do home trading back in the day, and I used Home Exchange, like the perfect name, said exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Didn't offend anyone. Nobody struggled with how to pronounce it. What is it? Another one that didn't work with shortening was Weight Watchers changed their name to WW. But WW is longer than weight. It may be shorter when you look at it, but when you
Yeah.
say it out
Yeah.
loud, WW is
Ah.
longer. And
So
their
it's
domain name, www.ww, like it's really a mouthful.
and
So
it sounds like a wrestling thing. Like it's a bit of I would be like, is wrestling now over there, Weight Watchers? You have to wrestle for your food. That's one way to burn calories.
and people still call it Weight Watchers. So that was I
Yeah.
think that was a bonehead move. And
Yeah.
I think it's probably pretty regrettable on their
Maybe they should have
part.
went with fat people come here. I don't know. Maybe not. There's a isn't there a exercise thing for I don't know. I'm trying to think of one. Yeah, what's in a name is really important. And I like how you say also what's important is how many syllables are in it, how long it is.
Yeah, although it's better to have a long name that's memorable than a short name that's forgettable. So
Ah.
people are obsessed with creating something short.
Mm-hmm.
But for instance, there is a company. It's a $1 billion brand. It's called Rent the Runway, and it's where women can rent, gowns, couture, fashion. It just on rent it one time, return it,
Mm-hmm.
for not a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had called and Rent the Runway is super evocative, it's exciting for women. But if they had just shortened that to RTR says nothing about the experience. Rent the
Yeah.
Runway, it might be long, but same with We Buy Ugly Houses. I mean, I don't know if I would have ever presented that name, but it served them well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you knock on the door and you're like, hey, we want to buy your house. Who are you with? We buy ugly houses. What? I don't know.
Well, it's funny you said that because that reminds me of those books, the For Dummies series. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be thought of as a dummy. I have enough trouble like overcoming being a blonde, like all the baggage that comes with that. But who wants to label themselves as a dummy?
Yeah, you're standing there at the cash register holding the book, and the gal's
I,
looking at you at the bookstore, Barnes and Noble. She's looking at you going, "You are a dummy, huh?" But no, it's hugely popular, and I think a lot of people are like, well, they feel that the dummy thing kind of gives them that base foundational knowledge that and talks maybe in a more simplistic way that sometimes you read stuff and it's so complex, like algebra or calculus, and you're like, I don't know, that's whatever.
But now you can just have Chat GPT explain things to you.
Mhm.
Explain this like I'm a fifth grader, and then it will tell you algebra like you're a fifth grader.
That's I'm still not going to do that because I hate math. I mean, I like
No,
basic math.
I never use math in my adult
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, I just use basic. I just use basic math in my real life. I put the money in the bank account and the money goes out the bank. Plus and
There you go.
minus. See, we know that equals 0 at all times, pretty much. Welcome to life, folks. So what else have we talked about different services you provide?
I want to talk a little bit about we can talk about services. Anybody can work with me. I will find a way. If you need a name, we will find a way to work together. I promise you that. Because I'm the boss. I'm the boss lady. I make the rules. But what I was going to tell everybody is, can I just talk about some mistakes that people make?
Please do.
Okay. Let's go through scratch really quick. So scratch is when to scratch it off the list because it will make people scratch their head. And all of these are important. So you can't be like, well, I just have one of these. Nope. Trust me. I've been doing this almost 20 years. You don't want to have any of these. If your name is spelling challenge, so if your name looks like a typo, that's an easy one. Looks like a typo, like you talked about car brands that just change a letter. Yeah, don't do that. And also, car brands have a lot of money, so maybe they could get away with it. But for the most part, if you're starting out with a blank slate and you get to come up with a name, don't give yourself any disadvantages. So like your name is really easy for people to spell, Chris Voss, but a lot of people have names that are hard for people. So if you think about your brand name and any issues you have with your own personal name, why would you want to give yourself any of that pain? And you don't have to, because unlike, your parents chose your name for you, but you get to choose your own brand name. So you don't want to be a copycat. That's the first C in scratch. You don't want to, you don't want to sound like everybody else when you can be yourself. So then you don't want to open yourself up to trademark infringement.
There you go.
The R in scratch stands for restrictive, and that's where you get locked in. So 24-hour fitness is now not open 24 hours everywhere. So their name is now restrictive. 1-800-Flowers sells way more than flowers. Dollar Tree, $1.25. So, or the 99 cents. Dollar Tree, I think, is okay. 99-cent store, yeah, they have stuff in there for $4.99. So
yeah, you're like, hey, I feel ripped off. What's going on here?
Yeah, so when you're naming your company or your product or brand, look in your crystal ball and make sure that you're not going to outgrow your name or try to project into the future.
That was actually the original name of the show, Skinny Man with a Mic, and I definitely outgrew that. So
you literally outgrew it.
Yeah, I did actually.
In your words, not mine.
It was the Baconators.
I got fat shamed one time. I was accused of fat shaming. I was speaking at Stanford at the grad school, and I was saying how we started out naming things that make people fat and drunk, and someone tweeted that I was fat shaming. Like, seriously?
Welcome
that was just kind of something funny I say.
Yeah. There's probably somebody accusing me of that too, and I'm like, I am one. How can I if there's any shaming, it's self-emulation or whatever. Setting myself on fire.
So the A in scratch stands for annoying. Annoying names are anytime your name frustrates people. So if it's spelled backwards, if it's missing some letters, that's if it has a number in it that anytime people are going to get a bounce back to their email, if your name is ambiguous, nothing about your company should be ambiguous, especially your name. The T stands for tame, and that just means that your name is really descriptive and flat. And why would you want a tame, flat name when you could be exciting? And then example of a tame name, Network Solutions, right? The domain registrar combines two of the most boring names in the English language into one super tame name.
It does. It really does. You're like network and solutions. Like, what the hell? That's about as bland as vanilla. Vanilla even has more personality.
It does. It does. And then the second C in Scratch stands for the curse of knowledge. And that's where something's foreign to people. Either it's a foreign word, or maybe it's meaningful to the engineers at your company, but nobody else knows what it means. So you want to make sure that your target audience, you don't need to, do a survey monkey, but you want to make sure people understand whatever name you're coming up with. So there's a company called Mzinga, it's spelled Mzinga, and Mzinga is a word that's loosely based on the Swahili word for hive. But like, how would anybody know that? And you're not going to be there to explain it to people. So remember that about your name too. You're not always going to be there. And then finally, the H in Scratch stands for hard to pronounce. And you don't want a name that's difficult for people to pronounce. I mean, imagine being in a restaurant. We've all been in a French restaurant, whatever language you butcher. I have been there, and nobody wants to. No, here's the thing. No one wants to embarrass themselves pronouncing something wrong. But what's worse is when, let's say you pronounce somebody's name wrong. They don't want to, and you do it in front of them, they don't want to correct you because they don't want to embarrass you, especially if it's somebody like, let's say, the CEO of a company pronounce your name. Chris, your name is never going to be pronounced wrong. But people call me Alexandria. They put the I in the name, that I don't have an I in my name. And like, I don't want to my neighbor's been calling me Alexandria for 5 years, and I've just,
seriously?
Yeah.
And you never correct them? You just let her run?
Never corrected them.
I did that with a friend one time. Her name was Stephanie, and she I think she uses an E in the Stephanie and Steph part, and I kept putting an A, Stephanie, instead of Stephanie, and I felt bad. And for years, she let me do it and just ignored it because she knew I was stupid. So
no, but see, then you felt bad. She felt bad. You felt bad.
I still feel bad about this. I never told her. I just corrected it, but I was like, I'm an idiot. These are really important because they make all the difference. And then I think part of it is you've got to have a name so that if I tell you to go to my website, you can spell that name. Like sometimes I've looked at names for companies we've started, and there's just certain words that you're like, yeah, most people don't know how to spell that. I mean, if you've seen Gen Z lately, most of them aren't going to college, so they're not going to be able to spell those names. And they've got to be able to remember it, like you say in the thing there. They've got to be able to remember it so they can type it into the .com. So
yeah. So you want your name to be spelled exactly like it sounds. And if you can't get an exact match domain name, just add a modifier word. A lot of people don't know. For the first 13 years they were in business, Tesla wasn't at Tesla.com. They were at TeslaMotors.com. And Facebook until 2005 was the Facebook. Square up. SlideShare is still SlideShare.net. So don't underestimate the value of having of adding another word. Or doing something really fun. Like one of my favorites is just having a domain name that's not even doesn't have your business name in it. So one that I love is a smoked turkey company. It's called Greenberg Smoked Turkey. It's not a great name. Greenberg could be spelled two different ways, but their domain name is unforgettable, and it's gobblegobble.com.
That's freaking brilliant. That was the name I was going to go with for the show. Fat guy, all those baconators. One of the names that I really hate out in the marketplace, and I can't even remember. I was trying to type it in here and pull it up on the thing. It's Raducan, Radicon. You know the
my
one.
God. Ra-
See, you don't even remember it,
Ratukan?
and you're in the
No, wait.
business of names.
No, it's
Raducon,
Ratukan.
Radican.
They have a whole
Yeah, they
commercial
have a
that
commercial making fun of their
telling
name.
with people trying to pronounce it.
Yeah, and it's even more stupid.
Rakuten
It's
or
just like
something. No, I looked it up. It's like the Japanese word for something. Like people don't know that. Rakuten, I think.
Rakuten. Yeah, I think
Yeah, but like why? Why? I can never. Yeah, the domain was available. I mean, I don't know.
yeah, it's like yeah, and we still can't remember what it is. We know how stupid it is, and that's how we remember it. Like I just
Yeah.
think of it as like that dumb company that named themselves really bad.
Or
And
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, go ahead.
Another one like that is Trivago, and people think it's a good name because I've heard it 1,000, but more than 1,000 times,
Yeah,
10,000 times, and it's because it's been drilled in our head because it bought all the advertising. But Trivago, I dissected it and I figured out it's trip plus vacation plus go. They must have just like made this amalgamation, Trivago. It's not a great name, right? Like
yeah,
it's just
it's not.
so.
I even misspelled it when I put it in the computer. I was pulling it up, and I put an A in it, so Travago is what I used. So yeah, that's the one thing I've learned. It's the other thing I've learned. You know, we used to, if we couldn't get a .com back in the day, we would buy the .net, and then it would drive me mentally insane because everyone would call me and go, "Hey man, we went to your website and it's a different company." And you're like, "Did you do the .net part?" And it's just finally I just gave up. I'm like, if it's not a .com, screw it.
Yeah, we try really hard to get the .com, and my preference is always you can't get the .com add a modifier word before you get the .net, but .net is
Ah,
fine.
yeah.
I wish the .biz had taken off. I just thought that was a fun one, BIZ.
BIZ, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of an exciting business name. Of course, you can buy it for the thing and use it. But yeah, there's a lot of great examples we've talked about that make things work. In fact, while we were talking, you gave me an idea of a funny name for a podcast, and I was like, "Hey, maybe I should rename the Chris Voss Show Fat Guy with a Mic." And turns out there's somebody else who already has that going on.
Really?
Yeah, somebody grabbed that Fat Guy with a Mic. So I'll sue him now. Clearly you had it before me. What else do we want to tease out on your book and different things that you help companies with?
In my book, I have a really fun chapter called Corporate Creativity,
Hmm.
and you will learn some of the conference room names of companies that you know and love. Etsy has some of my favorite conference room names. They're all some of their meeting rooms are musician food mashups. So,
Hmm.
for instance, Fleetwood Mac and Cheese, or Sushi and the Banshees, or
Oh,
Oreo Speedwagon, or Nine Inch
Oreo
Nails.
Speedwagon.
Aren't those good?
No, I'm
And
hungry.
then, yeah, I think Groupon has some really irreverent ones, like this used to be a forest. Really long.
Wow.
They have really long conference room names, but you'll find out really fun job titles that people have,
Oh,
and ones that they don't have. There's one guy that's like a master of disaster, and the title that no one has this title, but I thought it would be hilarious if the CEO of McDonald's was Lord of the Fries.
that's pretty good. Or the secret
It's
sauce. I
good,
don't know.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Lord
People
of the
like to
Fries.
have fun. People like to have
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. I
Yeah,
love it.
this one guy, I was doing a workshop recently, and this guy on the call he is the father of cause marketing. So
Uh-huh.
marketing that does good. So when he said that, I said, "You're the cause father." And like he made little cards. He's the cause father. And he's showing, it says, "I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse." And so he has a lot of fun with that.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, you can have names are so much fun. People miss so many opportunities. And I'll just tell you one that I love is there was a woman, she was a publicist. Her name's Lynette Hoy.
Hmm.
And her name's not super memorable. It said nothing about her fiery personality. So we rebranded her Fire Talker PR with the tagline "Hot on the Press" because she's
Oh,
relentless.
uh-huh.
And she calls herself the fire chief. She works in the firehouse. She has packages like controlled burn and fire starter, and she has a theme song. And when you have a fun name, you can have a theme song that works with it. So her theme song is Fire by the Ohio Players, and anytime she's doing a speaking engagement, she cranks that up. My theme song is Sugar Sugar by the Archies. The runner-up for me was Candyman.
Candyman. There you go. Or a Pink Fridge gal. I don't know. There you go. Well, it's been wonderful to have you on, Alexandra, and fun to make your acquaintance. And now I know who came up with Nito. I mean, it's a Nito name.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. So give us your .coms, wherever you want people to find you on your interwebs, and any parting thoughts you want.
Go to eatmywords.com. You can test a name for free there. There's a free mini masterclass. You can take my course there. You hook up with me on LinkedIn at Alexandra Watkins. And I always have specials. Right now I'm having a half price. I'm almost always having a half price special on something.
Mhm.
So yeah, I recommend if you want to work together, you will work directly with me. You're going to not work with GPT or, one of my sous chefs. You will work directly with me.
There you go. Well, that sounds like an awesome deal. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Chris.
There you go. And thanks for tuning into my audience. Order up her book wherever fine books are sold. Hello, my name is Awesome. How to create brand names that stick. And you can find that wherever fine books are sold. Stay away those alleyway bookstores, though. You might need a tetanus shot after you go into them. Refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. If not, don't make me come to your house. No, I'm just kidding. There's not going to be violence involved, but I might, I don't know, drink your milk and eat some of your potato chips and then leave. And I'll drink it from the carton. So you better refer your family, friends, and show. What, we're resorting to violence now? What the hell? I woke up and chose violence this morning. YouTube.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. What's the other? YouTube, Goodreads.com/Chris Voss, and TikTok, the TikTok Chris Voss. There's another joke that started getting crammed in there. Maybe that could be like a business name or something. Drinking milk from the carton or something. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. There's a joke there somewhere. Anyway, we'll figure it out in the meantime, but check in for the next show. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.